My name is Garfield. I'm one of the senior instructors at NYC Career Centers. And today's session, we're going to focus on tips and tricks, time-saving tricks to help you get through the work that you have to do in Excel. For me, this feels weird. It feels like a podcast. And so I'll be broadcasting to you and you'll be watching my screen. And as much as we can, we'll make sure to mute everyone and make sure video's not on because we don't necessarily need to see anybody's pajamas. I know we're all sheltering in place and sometimes videos will pop up, but let's get started. My first topic to go over with you is autofill. You'll use autofill to help speed up the work that you need to do when you need to, let's say, copy values from one cell to another. So let's say I was given an Excel test, something that may be on the hearts and minds of a lot of people who are looking maybe to get a promotion or get a new job. And I was asked to duplicate the number 1 down this column. What I wouldn't do is type 1, press enter, type 1, press enter. If the examiner saw me doing this, they might say, "Thank you very much for coming in. We'll contact you if we hear anything." And guess what? I won't hear anything from those people. So what I'll do instead is I'll select the cell. Let me zoom in because I know for some of you, you may not be able to see exactly what I'm doing. If you look at the cell, you'll see there's one corner that's different than all the others. You're looking at the bottom right-hand corner. Now, sometimes I call this Excel's little pimple. So if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you want to move your mouse right over it until you see a black plus sign. And when you see the black plus sign, you'll click. That's called the autofill handle. You'll click and drag down. That's a quicker way to duplicate that value across a column. Now, that's not going to be very useful. How many times are you going to duplicate the number 1 in a column? What might be more interesting is creating a top 10 list. Again, you don't want to do this by going under the number 2, typing 3, and then pressing enter, 4, and then enter. No, you're going to show that you're an Excel rookie. So what you want to do is you want to select both cells. You have to select both. If you only select one, you'll get what you got here, and then you'll be labeled a rookie all over again. You want to select both cells so Excel can see the relationship between the second cell and the first cell. The second cell is 1 number greater than the second. So now, if you click on the black plus sign and drag it down, Excel will continue that pattern and make sure all the other cells are 1 number greater than the one prior. And that's how you create a top 10 list really quickly. As you can see, I didn't have to use the keyboard. I just used my mouse and just drag that down. So now I'm going to go down and show you some other examples of using autofill. Feel free to grab a book and take some notes if you want. This is going to go pretty fast. This is not too interactive, so I'm going to anticipate what you might be saying, and I'll try to be a little schizophrenic and be you and me. So I'll ask myself questions sometimes. So I have this date here. Now I'm a little concerned because when I had one value, it duplicated. So if I'm here, I might think that Excel will duplicate that date. It doesn't. Somebody must have sent my feedback to Microsoft telling them, hey, you know what's more practical? If I select a single date, I would like the date to increment. So now I don't have to worry about filling in 1, 2. I work up for the payroll department. I want to pick up the dates for all the Fridays during the year. Well, I only need to enter the first 2 Fridays, and then I can autofill down and pick up all the Fridays really quickly. I won't have to rack my brain trying to figure out what is the next date for the Friday after 1/8. Something else that you can do, let me just get my little eraser here. We have a little red mark. Okay, now that's gone. You're working on a calendar. Now, here's what I usually say when you get to this section. You want to be able to display a list of months. Let's say you know how to spell January, but you're a little iffy on February. All you have to do is click January, move it down. Hey, Excel's got your back. You don't have to worry about making spelling mistakes with February. Very helpful. I need to display the first month of each quarter. Well, just display the first month of the first 2 quarters and let Excel handle the rest. I'm also working with days in the week in that calendar. I'll select this and then I'll drag it across. There are all the days of the week. I didn't have to type anything. Since Excel is a financial application, Excel recognizes quarters. So if I take the autofill handle and drag it across, I go from quarters 1 to 4, just like that. Now, Excel's smart enough to know that if you move over one more cell, we're not going to get quarter 5. We'll start back at quarter 1. That makes sense. There are only 4 quarters. Next topic we're going to take a look at is flash fill. Now, what I usually say about flash fill when we get to this section is I'm going to pretend that my boss at 4:55, because this never happens, says to me, "I'm sorry to do this to you, Garfield, but we have a list of about 100 codes. I need you to rewrite them and only display the last 3 numbers." So I think I have a long night ahead of me. So I figured, let me start, because if I complain, I'm just going to be here all night. So I'll type 1, 2, 3, and then I'll type 2, and whoa, what just happened? Looks like Excel has figured out what's going on here. So just like the NSA, Excel is spying on me and making predictions about what's going to happen next. Instead of showing me ads that Facebook would normally show me related to what I was searching for, it's figuring out that I probably want to complete the pattern here, and all I have to do is press enter. Don't make the rookie mistake of typing 1, 2, 3. Now let me go back here and delete everything. 1, 2, 3, pressing enter, starting to type 2, 3, 4, and then continue. If you continue, you're telling Excel, I don't need your help. I can do this all by myself. And Excel will say, okay, forget you. Write all 100 codes by yourself. I was just trying to help you out, and you just had to have an attitude. So as soon as you see the text show up, just press enter. 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay, stop right there. Press enter. Your work is done. This is going to be more useful if you need to do something like a full name list. This is a very common task. So starting in Excel 2013, and this feature is available to you, all you have to do is type Roger Williams. And then if you type the first letter of the second name, all you need to do is press enter, and that completes the process. So that's flash fill. That's available to you directly from just typing. Now, this is also available on the ribbon. If you go to the Data tab and you go over to the Data Tools group, all the commands on the ribbon are organized into groups. Data Tools group, you'll see flash fill. It'll look like a grid with a lightning bolt. All you need to do is click that. That completes that for you. Now, I'll show you something that you may find useful. Sometimes in the class, I will ask students, does anyone know the keyboard shortcut for flash fill? There'll usually be a period of silence. Well, you don't have to go to Google to find out the keyboard shortcut for flash fill. You don't even have to have strong bicep muscles. If you can push a mouse, you can figure out the keyboard shortcut. Just watch very carefully. I'll do this slowly for some of you who think I'm moving a little too fast. I know the suspense is building. We'll ultimately get there. There's the keyboard shortcut, Control E. So all you have to do is press Control E, and you'll do the same thing. So data, flash fill. So now let's take a look at absolute cell reference. Absolute cell reference will help you with your calculations. I know we haven't gone over too many different types of calculations, so we're just gonna start. This is Excel 2019. I know it looks weird because you don't see tabs, you see underlines. Every time I click on what should look like a tab, I get underlines. So it might look a little different on your screen than on mine, but everything is pretty much in the same place. All right, so what I usually say about this exercise is someone in my class says, ooh, I want to do this. I know how to do this. Based on everything we just reviewed about calculations, I'm going to figure this out. I know how to do this because I eat out a lot. And when I get my dinner bill, I usually see the waiter take my dinner amount and multiply it by the sales tax. So let me show you how to do this. And so they'll go and they'll say, I'm going to select the total amount of the price. In this case, it's a Mac computer, but I'll pretend it's my dinner because, again, I eat out a lot. And I'm going to multiply this by the sales tax. And then watch this. I'm going to press enter. All right, I'm on the right track. I know this is right because the answer is right here. Now watch this trick. I can copy this formula down by going over to the black plus sign and double clicking. I'm going to double click. This is amazing. Watch this. Oh, shoot. That's not what I expected. So now I'm wondering what the heck is going on here. I might start to reevaluate whether or not a career in Excel is right for me. But let's go back and actually, let's not go back. Let's take a look at what's happening inside the cell. So I'm going to double click on the first value. Okay, I'm multiplying 1,200 by the sales tax. Let me see what's happening here. Oh, I moved down one row for blue. It looks like I also moved down one row for red. Wait, red shouldn't move. Let me check here. Oh, I'm multiplying 350 by the price. Okay, I think I'm noticing a pattern here. Every time I move down one row for blue, I move down one row for red. I need to keep this from moving. So what I'm going to do is apply mathematical handcuffs. I can apply mathematical handcuffs by pressing F4. Those are the mathematical handcuffs. They look just like dollar signs. That will prevent the cell from moving, the red one, the sales tax rate. So now I'll press enter. Now let me autofill this down. That's what I'm looking for. Now let me double check underneath. Like a good mechanic, I want to open up the hood to see how this is working out. What's going on here? Yes, C7 is staying the same. I guess adding those dollar signs did make a difference. So you're going to have to know that when you're working with formulas where you have multiple values and a single value. Multiple, single. The single value needs to be imprisoned inside of a literal cell. It's good that you're working in an Excel spreadsheet because the terms are the same. Cell, like a prison cell, you're locking that value into a cell. Use dollar signs to do that. All right. Next example, I need to get a percentage for all of these products. When I was first learning about percentages, I didn't really understand percentages that well. I couldn't understand the math, and some people are hesitant to answer in class because of this. This is how I crack the code when it comes to percentages. I'm going to type equal, and I tell myself I need to take the smaller number and divide it by the very highest number. Now, out of all these values, the very highest number has a very special name. It's called the total. So I'm going to select it here. I'll press enter. Yay, that works. Let me use autofill now. Oh, deja vu. Okay, I think I know what to do. Let me check. Oh yeah, it's doing that thing again. It's slipping. I got to lock that value inside the cell it's currently in. I'll press F4 on my keyboard, and that puts dollar signs there. Now, some of you will press F4, and what will happen on your laptops is your screen will brighten or you'll raise the volume. That's user inexperience. If you're using laptops, you need to press the function key so that the F4 key can actually do what F4 does in Excel. So if you increase the screen brightness or lower your volume, just remember to press the function key. Okay, I know you're not doing that, but just in case it doesn't work for you. I don't think I want to go through this whole exercise, so I'll do it really quickly. I need to get the total for all of these amounts. Here's a quick trick. I'm going to select all the values and the blank cells. Then I'm going to go over to the Data tab, actually Formulas tab, and just click AutoSum. One click, boom, get all the totals all the way around. Now here, this is going to be equal to this amount multiplied by the sales tax. I only have one of the sales tax, F4. Press enter, and then I'll autofill this across. I want to add all these values together, so I'll just select all of them and just click AutoSum. Boom, there it is. I have the total. This is going to be equal to that divided by, there's only one of the total. I need to lock that, F4. Enter, and then I'll autofill this down. Now I'm going to show you a trick. This can go by pretty fast, so just watch very carefully. I'm going to autofill down. I lost the underline. I hate that. Wait a minute. Look at this. Fill without changing the formatting. Yay. Okay, kept the underline. That's a little thing. All right, let's continue. We're going to go to line charts. Now, I have some disappointing news for you when it comes to charts. Sorry to break the news to you, but I'm going to have to break the news to you at some time. Working with charts is a lot easier than you think. Okay, I know you're disappointed. You expected it to be really difficult, but it's actually pretty simple. First of all, don't have selectophobia. What is selectophobia? The feeling that you have to select everything before you do something. No, just select one cell. So if you're creating a chart, just select one cell within the data and then go to insert. Why insert? Because you're inserting something into the spreadsheet. What are you inserting? A chart. Gee, I wonder which group I'll need to go to insert a chart. Charts. Exactly. You're inserting a chart. Just remember those two words. You'll know exactly where to go on the ribbon. I want to insert a line chart. These symbols are confusing me. Let me just hover my mouse. Hey, look at that. Excel gives me information about all these different icons. Insert line or area chart. One click. And I'll choose the first one. Bingo, congratulations, you created a chart. Now you can brag to all your friends about how difficult that was. It's actually pretty simple. You just clicked in a cell and you said, I want to insert a chart. And then you pick an icon. And there it is. Now I want to design this chart. So I'll click in the chart. And if I go over to chart design, on your computer, it might just say design. Since I have 2019, they use chart in front of it, but on some older versions of Excel, it just says design. How do I customize this chart? Well, on the chart design tab, you have quick layout. If you're on the PC, let's see, let me just check questions here. Insert a chart into an email and keep formatting. No, that's going to be an advanced topic. Quick layout. I'm going to click the drop down. If I want to change the chart to a different type, I'll just hover my mouse. Look at that. I'm window shopping with charts. This is Excel's way of saying, hey, look, leave the chart layout options to us. We know better than you. Why don't you just check here to see if you find something you like as close as possible as something you like. Then if you want to make changes, you can, but you don't have to do any heavy lifting. Okay, but I don't like the color. Okay, go right next to quick layout and you'll see change colors. We have several colorful options. Sorry, we only have 4, and we have many more monochromatic. You'll just move your mouse over these options. I'll choose blue-green. All right. I still don't like the chart. Well, just hover your mouse over chart styles. Excel is going to show you lots of different styles to choose from. Click the drop down here, hover your mouse, find something that looks good for you. Maybe I'm in a 1980s kind of mood, so I'll go for the dark background with neon colors. All it takes is one click. I can start bragging to my friends about how difficult it was for me to get just the right look when all I did was click one option from chart styles. All right, let's go to column chart. I want to create a column chart. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go to Charts. You know what? This icon looks like a column. I'm going to click on it. Hey, this looks familiar. I'm going to choose the first option. There it is. And just like that, I have a column chart. I want to make some changes to the chart. I don't want to use Excel's quick layout options, change colors, or chart styles. So I'm going to add my own elements. If you want to do that, you'll go to Add Chart Element. I'll click the drop down here, and maybe I'll add some data labels. That doesn't look good. I can't see the numbers. Inside base, no. Outside end, perfect. I can see the numbers directly above the bars, and I can actually read them. There we go. I'll make this a little bit bigger. I also want to add some lines between the major grid lines. So I'm going to go over and choose grid lines. I'll choose primary, minor, horizontal. And I have some extra lines there. Maybe I want to add a title at the bottom of the chart. So I'll go to add chart element, access titles, primary horizontal. Now here's a cool trick. All I have to do is click on primary horizontal, and then I can start typing. Products. Wait a minute. You're typing in the formula bar up here. You're not typing down there. I know. Just be patient. I'll press enter. Look at that. It goes right there. Hey, let me try this with the vertical axis. I'll go here, primary vertical, and then I'll just start typing. I didn't even click on anything. I'm going to type annual revenue. Again, you got to have a little faith. I know you're typing in the formula bar, but as soon as I press enter, it goes right there. All right, so let's go to pie chart. I want to create a pie chart. I'll go to insert, remember that, and then you'll go to charts. The easiest icon to pick out here is the pie chart icon. One click, 2D pie. Congratulations. I want to change this to a 3D pie chart. So if I click on the chart, I'll go to change chart type. Not only can I change it to a different type of chart, but within the pie chart, I can change it to a different style, maybe 3D. I'll click OK. Gee, I'm not really impressed by that. It really doesn't look like a 3D chart. I thought I was going to get something that was more three-dimensional. Well, here's a quick little trick. If you right-click on the pie, there's an option. Look at this, 3D rotation. That's pretty cool. If I click that, it opens up this thing here. Now, the one I'm interested in is the Y rotation. Let's see what happens if I decrease the Y rotation. Wow, that's pretty cool. So I can make this really look like a 3D pie chart instead of what I was stuck with. I wonder what X rotation does. Let me see if I can increase that and what that does. Oh, that's pretty cool. I am able to rotate the pie in three-dimensional space. So I can have a part of the pie focus in the upper right-hand corner. I want the orange slice to be in the upper right-hand corner. That's perfect. That's exactly where I want it to be. Now, for my presentation, I would like to show people that this particular slice is the one they should focus on. So I can drag that piece away. All it takes is 3 clicks. Here's the first click. When you click the first time, you'll see dots all around the pie. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see that. Click, dot, 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 dot. Now I'll click on the orange slice one more time. Now there's only 3 dots. Third time is a click and drag. And look at that. I pull away that piece from the slice. And when I'm doing my presentation, I can focus on that particular piece. Maybe I'll add in some labels. Make sure you click in the chart, because if you don't click on the chart, you won't get these tabs. Click outside of it, it's gone. Click inside of it, it's back. Click outside of it, it's gone. Click back inside of it, it's back. Go to add chart element, add data labels, and I'll add them at the outside end. There we go, and we have our values. All right, so now let's go to splitting text. Let's work with some text. Now I'm gonna close this format shape. I'm gonna zoom in. And I'm gonna add some rows here. And I'm going to grab some information that I wanna split. Now I'm going to choose information that's a little different than what's here. Okay, here's a practical situation. I'm being asked to sort this information by state. I need to sort this information by state. I can't do that. Not because I don't want to, but the cities and states are all in the same cell. If I sort this, I'll only be sorting by the city. I somehow need to create a separate state column so I can sort by state. Well, should I retype all the states and then delete them? No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to use data text to columns. It sounds like what it is. You're taking text, you're moving them to other columns. I'm taking text and moving them to other columns. So I'm going to select all 4 cells. I'm going to go to the data tab and I'll choose text to columns. Now, this is a 3-step wizard. This wizard does not have a magic wand or a pointy hat, but it's 3 steps. First step, is the information the same size or is it various character lengths? Well, if it was the same size, like social security numbers and credit card numbers, I would choose fixed width. I'm not going to do that. It's delimited. Characters such as commas or tabs separate each field. Luckily for me, that's the case here. I'll click next. What separates cities and states? The comma. So I'll choose comma. Then I'll click next. This part I don't need. If I was working with a CSV file, maybe I would choose to not import certain columns or change the format. But this is a real simple example. I'll just click finish. Boom, there we go. Now I can sort by state. I'll just go over here, maybe apply format painter and format that cell. There we go. Another practical example, I have a full name list, but I need first names and last names. So I'm going to select this entire column, and I want to be able to split it in such a way that the first name stays in column B and the last name goes to column C. First name in column B, last name in column C. I'll go over to the data tab, text to columns, click next. Commas don't separate first names and last names. Spaces do. So I'm going to choose space. There's the preview. This lets me know I'm on the right track. If this is what my information is supposed to look like and I like what I see, I can just click finish. Because I'm not going to do anything on the third dialog box anyway. Click finish. Boom, there we go. That's done. Let's now take a look at joining text, which is the opposite of splitting text. You have two methods that you can use. You can use concatenate or the ampersand. So I'm just going to align this. I'm very picky a little bit about some things here. Okay, so now concatenate and concat are practically the same, except concat is a new and improved version of concatenate. If you use concat, you can select multiple cells at once. If you use concatenate, you can only select one cell at a time. I'm going to use concatenate. So equal CONCATE. Now you see that function there? Here's a keyboard shortcut. If I press tab, I don't have to type anymore. If you like typing, don't press tab. You can type everything and the open parentheses. But me, I'm going to be a little bit more efficient. I'll press tab. Boom, there it is. I didn't have to press the shift key above the number 9 to type that open parentheses. That saves me a step. Now I wonder what cell I'm going to select first. That's a little difficult to figure out. It's going to be the cell that's under the word first. So that's the one I should select first. Now I'll enter a comma. What is the cell I'm going to select last? Hey, spoiler alert, it's directly under the word last. I'll press enter. Yay. Well, not exactly. There's no space between Diana and Stone. So let me see if I can add one. That should help. No, it didn't. I think I just need to make this more pronounced. That should definitely put the space there. Let's see. Doesn't work either. If you want to add a space, you're going to have to put it in double quotes. Excel only recognizes text if it's in double quotes. But wait a minute, space is not a text. It is in Excel. So I'll put the space in double quotes. Then I need another comma to separate the space from the last name, comma. You'll know you did it right if the cell is highlighted. If it's not highlighted, you're not selecting Stone. I'll enter a comma again. Okay, now I'll press enter. There it is. The other method you have is the ampersand. The ampersand, if you don't know, looks like this. It's right above the number 7. I'll let you know that the ampersand is used to combine characters. Some of the more famous characters that are combined using this symbol are Batman and Robin, also Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, Tom and Jerry, Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Usually right between their names, you see that symbol. Now, why am I saying that? Because it works the same way in Excel. I'll backspace and type equal. I'll pretend Jesse is Batman. I'll use the ampersand and pretend Bennett is Robin. When I press enter, hey, it works, just like Batman and Robin, but no spaces. Well, I want to put in the space the same way I did for Diana. Double quote, space, double quote. And then I need something to separate the last name from the space. So ampersand. We want to keep things consistent, not a comma here, an ampersand. See, and that works. I press enter. There it is. Now for this exercise, we ask you to use either concatenate or ampersand to combine the first names and last names. I'll use the ampersand method. This is how someone might do it. They might do this, equal this. I'll use the ampersand method and double quote space, double quote, and double quote dash, double quote, and double quote space, double quote, and sales. They'll press enter. Yay, I got the right answer. But guess what? That's not the most efficient method. What you're doing here is pretend that someone has gone to the punctuation store. And what they need to do is they need to buy a space, a dash, and a space. They tell the cashier, could you do me a favor and put the space in a separate plastic bag, put the dash in a separate plastic bag, and put the other space in a separate plastic bag? That cashier might inform them that, you know, it would be more efficient if you put all of those characters in a single plastic bag. That's much better for the environment. Then you won't need 3 plastic bags, you'll only need 1. I'll go here, I'll press enter, and I get the same result. Then I'll just go here and double click. Now I know not people are not chiming in this session. It's not as interactive. I'm just doing my thing. But here's another way that you could do this. Surprise, surprise. We already learned about this. Watch very carefully. Only ninjas and Jedis can do this. See? And there you go. I could have did it. I could have gotten the result that way. But here's the problem. If I go in and change in south to north, there's only one place it's going to update. Here. Because here, I'm referencing this cell. Here, this is just a snapshot. It was a snapshot a little while ago. Right now, it's no longer true because I updated the value. So I could also use this to split text. What do you mean? I could do this. Hey, look at that, just like that. If I want to pick up the department, let me try that again. Hey, Garfield, it's not working. I thought you said it would complete the pattern. Well, what's happening here is Excel's a little confused. It's not sure if you want to keep typing sales all the way down. It's not seeing the pattern. So you need to prime the pump a little bit. When I start typing something that's different, it says, oh, okay, I caught on. You actually do want something different. So I'll press enter. Let's go to data validation. Data validation is useful for creating dropdowns in Excel. So in a nutshell, data validation allows you to create dropdowns. It does much more, but that's what it's really known for. I want my employees to, actually, I want my supervisors to rank my employees on a scale of 1 to 3. I know, weird way to rank people, but let's say that's what I wanted to do. Now, I send the form out and I get some responses, and some of them look like this. Now, this is a communication problem. I expected them to type in a numerical value, but they're typing in text. This is a problem for me because now I have to go in and change all the numerical values to text. I don't want that to happen anymore. I'm going to go to data, and then I'm going to go to data validation. It would make sense data validation is on the data tab since data validation starts with data. So easy way to remember it. I'll click on data validation, and then I'll look here, and this just confirms that what can go into this cell is any value. That's the problem. I don't want any value to go into cell. I want a drop-down list. So I'm going to click the drop-down here and see which option I'm going to choose for a drop-down list. Don't take too long to think about it. I've asked this question. You'll be surprised at some of the answers I get. If you want a drop-down list, surprise, surprise, you're going to choose list because it's drop-down list without the words drop-down in front of it. Then here, the values that are going to go into the drop-down list are 1, 2, 3. You just separate each of the values with a comma, and then you click OK. Now I'm going to test this out. Let me click this little button. Hey, that's awesome. Now, if someone goes and tries to type in a text value, they won't be able to. Awesome. They'll be forced to choose a value from the dropdown. I send this form out to all my employees, and then I have unintended consequences. What happens is I get a call from the IT department. The IT department says, did you do something to people's spreadsheets? Because they're saying their spreadsheets are broken and they can't use them. Every time they go fill out your form, they get this error message from Microsoft and they don't understand it. Oh, okay, I understand. So the people I'm working with aren't really technical and they don't understand this language. They don't even know what it means. They think something's wrong with Excel. So I need to help my IT guy out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to data validation, and then I'm going to choose error alert. Excel allows you to choose your own error message. So I'm going to go here. The title of my error message is going to be rank. And then I can type in whatever message I think is appropriate for someone who enters a wrong value into that cell, something they can understand. So I'm going to do that now. I don't recommend typing what I'm typing here, but I can because this is an imaginary story. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'll click OK. When I go in here and I type in a value that's incorrect, I don't think they'll be calling IT. This time I think they'll be calling HR, and HR will be calling me and scolding me for how I'm talking to my fellow employees. I'll click cancel, and some people will say, yeah, I got it. I want to choose a region. Maybe I want to create a drop-down for all 50 states. So I'm going to click on data validation, go to settings, and again, choose list. I am not going to type all 50 state abbreviations into this dropdown. What I'll do instead is go to Google, search for 50 state abbreviations, copy and paste it to my spreadsheet. When I get to this box, I'm going to go into my spreadsheet where those abbreviations are and simply click and drag. That's it, and click OK. What does that do? Gives me all the values that are in those cells. I didn't type north, south, east, or west. I just selected the cells. So this makes it very easy for people to select values from a dropdown when they're filling out my form. Let's take a look at remove duplicates. Now, removing duplicates is pretty difficult. What I usually do is I copy this list because I want us to see the difference between the two lists after we remove the duplicates. So let me zoom in here. And so far, I've been explaining how some things are pretty simple. This is actually kind of difficult. You'll have to watch along with me just to make sure that you're doing this correctly. First of all, don't have selectophobia. Selectophobia is doing this. No, don't do that. Just select one cell. Excel is smart enough to grab all the other information. Maybe if you used prior versions of Excel, you get concerned about this because you got burned a couple of times. Well, Microsoft has fixed that situation where you sort one column and everything else stays the same. Just select one cell. Then you'll head over to the Data tab, and then you'll head over to the Data Tools group. And this is where the difficulty comes in. You're wondering to yourself, gee, I wonder what to do now. There's so many options to choose from. Hopefully I'll select the right one. I'm going to say, even if you haven't used Excel in quite some time, you should be able to figure this out. Just take your time and look at all the options that are available, and it'll jump out at you. Remove duplicates. You'll click on that, and then you'll click OK. Congratulations, you just removed duplicates, and Excel gives you a progress report. It says, hey, you know what? I found 2 duplicate values for you, and I removed them. By the way, you have 8 unique values remaining, and I'll click OK. And if I compare this list to the original, I'll see that they were right. Mabel and Maria were the 2 duplicates that were removed from the bottom of the table. So that's remove duplicates, pretty simple. I don't even have to go in and write some complicated formula to get a count of how many duplicates and then filter and sort and then do all. I just click one button up on the data tab, remove duplicates. Excel will do the work for me. I just have to trust Excel is removing only the duplicates. Navigation. So we get to navigation. My starting cell is in A1. I want to get to row 7. So I'll press the down arrow key. Down, 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 down. Now I want to get to the word start here. I'll press the right arrow key. There I am. Now I want to get from start here to down. Right arrow, right arrow, right arrow, then down, 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 down. I guarantee you no one is going to pay us to teach you how to do this. You learned this before you even came to this class. So we're starting with walking. Now I'm going to show you how to run and fly. I'm going to go to this table. I'll pretend it's a little bit bigger. And then what I'm going to do is jump from the word start here to the word down. Your booster rocket keyboard shortcut is going to be Control. If I press Control, right arrow, I jump to the word down. Control, down arrow, jump to the word left. In fact, I don't even have to take my hand off Control or my finger off the Control key. I can just hold it there and press left, up, right, down, up, left, down, up. I can go right and left, up and down. In fact, if you have a large spreadsheet with a lot of data, you've learned a very valuable skill. Because if there was ever a situation where someone was coming up behind you at your desk, you can do this to make yourself look busy. People will be impressed. They won't even know what that is. They'll think you're some kind of Excel guru. Makes it very easy for you to pretend like you're actually doing something when you're just moving around the spreadsheet. Don't tell anyone I said that. All right, so I'm going to go down here. I want to highlight cells. You're not going to use the Control key. You'll use the Shift key. If I hold on to Shift and then I press the right arrow, I'm extending my selection. Now, if I press down, the down arrow, I'll select multiple rows. So a sports analogy, if you think of this first cell as your pivot foot, that's the foot that can't move. Your other foot could extend to the right, up, down, left. But that first cell is not going to move. So you're extending your range, and this is your circumference around that initial pivot foot, just by holding on the Shift key. Now I want to be able to select this table. I usually would have a very large table. So let me do that. I'm just going to go over here, and don't ask me what I'm doing. I can't show you these shortcuts. These are secret shortcuts. Now I have a much bigger table. I want to select the entire top row. I'm going to use a combination of Control, Shift, and right arrow. Control, Shift, right. Boom, look at that. I just selected the whole header. Now I want to select everything else in the table. Control, Shift, down. Boom. So now I'm a real Excel expert. People are impressed. Control, Shift, down selects a column. Control, Shift, right selects the entire table. So the combination of Control and Shift combines the ability to select cells and jump all the way to the end of the range. Control, Shift, down. There we go. Now, if I get to cell A44, it says, are you lost? So that's sort of saying, hey, don't you want to get back up to the top of the spreadsheet? I'm not going to do this. That screams rookie. What I want to do is think of the Wizard of Oz. I'll think to myself, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And if I press Control Home, I get taken to the very top of Excel. That's the starting point. If I want to get to the end of the spreadsheet, I'll press Control End. That's usually directly underneath the keyboard key Home. And that takes me to the last cell in the workbook where I have data. And that's where I'm at, in the last cell of the workbook. Control Home takes you to the upper left-hand corner. Control End takes you to the bottom right-hand corner where there's data. If you want to navigate to the next worksheet, you don't have to take your mouse and click on the worksheet tab. You can use the keyboard shortcut Control Page Down. Here's an easy way to remember this. An Excel file is called a workbook. An Excel file is called a workbook. So you can consider that each sheet or worksheet or tab in the workbook is a page. So if you want to go to the next page in the workbook, you'll press Control Page Down. Press Control Page Up, you'll go in the opposite direction. Down, up, down, up. I'll press Control Page down, and let's go to Paste Special. So Paste Special, I know I skipped cell navigation. I want to get to Paste Special. You'll need to copy and paste things. This is an essential skill. I want to make sure to get this in. If we have time, we'll go back to cell navigation. I want to be able to copy the information in this cell and paste it, but I only want to paste the formats. I don't want to paste the entire text. I already know how to copy and paste. Again, you're not going to want to learn this from us because you can figure this out pretty simply. If you press Control C and you go anywhere else in your spreadsheet and you press Control V, you paste what you just copied. I want to do something different. I don't want to change the text. I just want to change the color and the border. So I'll press Control C. I'll go to where I want to paste that color in the border, and then I have to bring up a special dialog box. It's called a Paste Special dialog box. You can bring this up by right-clicking and choosing Paste Special. You can also bring this up by going to the Home tab, clicking the drop-down, and choosing Paste Special. But you can use a keyboard shortcut. The keyboard shortcut is Control-Alt-V. How can you remember that? Well, just think to yourself, what do you press to paste? Control-V. So Control-Alt-V is an alternative way to paste. So Control-Alt-V brings up this dialog box. Now, we don't have time for me to tease this out from you. I usually ask the class, hey, what is something each of these options have in common? I'll tell you the answer, an underlined letter. For those of you who like keyboard shortcuts, that's a keyboard shortcut. If I wanted to select formats, I just press the letter T. If I wanted to select formulas, I'll press F. If I want to press values, I'll press V. Now, ignore me if you don't like keyboard shortcuts. Just use your mouse instead and click on formats. And then click OK. Guess what? I didn't paste the text. I only pasted the color. That's Paste Special formats. You can copy this little post-it note that's in this cell. I'll go over to the Review tab and let's see. I just want to hide that note. I don't like to see it pop up like that. It's annoying. It gets in the way. But if I move my mouse over the cell, it shows. And if I move it away, it goes away. Shows, goes away. Shows, go away. I want to copy this comment. I'll press Control C. I'll go over here, Control Alt V, alternative way to paste. And then I'll type the letter C for comments. Press Enter. Hey, look at that. I copied the comment. That's the only thing I copied. I didn't copy the text. I didn't copy the color. I only copied that red triangle with that comment. Paste Special formulas. You're going to need to know about formulas. I have a formula here that calculates 3% growth year over year. I invest $1,000 in 2017, and there's a formula that's going to increase that amount by 3%. And in 2019, it's going to increase the amount in 2018 by 3%. So I want to copy this formula throughout all the years so I can see how much money I'm making. I'm going to go over here. I got the Autofill Handle, and I'm going to drag it across. All right, I've made some money, but I just realized something. I'm not as happy as I used to be. I wonder what happened. Oh, I lost all the color in my life. My world has turned gray. I've made a lot of money, but I've been focusing too much on money, and I need to have a little work-life balance. I want to get those colors back. I'll press Control Z to undo. The only thing I want to do is copy the formulas. I don't want to change the format of these colors. These make me happy. So I'm going to go over here and press Control C. And then I'm going to select the cells where I want to paste the formula. Surprise, surprise, Control Alt V. What am I going to paste? Formulas. Now, if you like keyboard shortcuts, you'll press F and then press Enter. And guess what? I can make money and be happy at the same time. I have all the colors that were there originally, and I have the exact calculations that I had before. Now, here's a little secret that I'm going to tell you. You could have used autofill. You're like, wait a minute, you used it before and it didn't work. I know, but pay attention to what happens when you get to the end of the range. I'm going to do it again, but this time you're going to see something that you didn't see before because I'm telling you to look out for it. You're going to go over to the Autofill Handle, and you're going to click and drag. And when you get to the end, take a look at the corner. Hey, there's that option I talked about when we worked with absolute cell references, when I wanted to keep that line. If I click here, hey, I can fill without changing the formatting. You know what? That's a much quicker and easier way. There are multiple ways to do the same thing in Excel. You'll just choose whichever option works best for you. So that is pay special formulas. And then I'm just going to do a little quick check on time and see how we're doing. And all right, so pay special formulas. So let me see what other topics we have to go over. Oh, shoot, we're almost done. I'm going to run out of the special at the restaurant. We're going to have to do something. Looks like we have Excel tricks and shortcuts. I think I have time to go over this. I'll go over this briefly. I used to have this boss who would tell me to repeat back everything I told him. So he would make sure that what he told me to do, I didn't take and interpret as something else. He was very particular. He was a very successful boss. He was not necessarily the best type to work for, but he was very specific and demanding. So I'm going to pretend that this boss is telling me to do something here. He says, hey, could you do me a favor and divide all these amounts by 1,000? And then he would say, could you repeat back to me what I just told you so I can understand it? You understood what I just said. And I say, yes. You want me to take all these amounts and you want me to divide it by 1,000. He says, good, I can trust you to do this. All right, so I'm going to go over to this cell. I'm going to type equal. I'm going to take this amount. I'm going to divide it by 1,000. Now, here's where I can make a mistake. And I know some of you are on the edge of your seat. You're saying, is he going to lock the cell or is he not going to lock the cell? No, I remembered this time. I'm going to press F4 because when I bring this down, I don't want to select the blank cells underneath 1,000. I'll press enter. Excellent. Now I'll go here and I'll autofill down. I'll feel a certain sense of success. I'm really happy, except I have a friend who's walking over my shoulder and he says, hey, Garfield, what are you doing? And I say to him, hey, Mr. Nosy, my boss just asked me to divide all those amounts by 1,000. That's what I did. He says, oh, that's interesting. I say, what's interesting about it? He says, so you mean to tell me you had to go to another column? You had to type in a formula. You had to remember not to forget to press F4, and then you had to use autofill to drag that formula down? I say, yeah. And I say, why are you talking that way? He says, well, you could have did that just using copy and paste. You wouldn't need an extra column. You wouldn't have to type a formula. You wouldn't have to remember not to forget to press F4, and you wouldn't even have to use autofill. I say, well, you got to show me this. I don't know what you're talking about. He says, sure. First, let's get rid of this because I'm going to get the same result, and I'm not going to use that column. First of all, is this the number that you want to use to divide all the other numbers by? I say, yes. So he says, copy it. And then he says, what are the numbers you want to divide by what you just copied? I said, they're over here. And he says, well, select them. I say, now what? He says, now bring up pay special. Really? Already? And he says, yeah. Control Alt V. He says, this is the part of pay special no one pays attention to. In this section, you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide whatever you selected by whatever you just copied. So what do you want to do? I want to divide. So he says, choose divide. Oh, by the way, do you want to keep the background color? I say, yes. Well, don't copy everything, all the stuff from this cell. You just want the value. That way you won't lose the color. Okay, cool. So I'm able to choose one option from here and also an option from there. Yeah, they're separate sections. So you can select one from column A and one from column B. Okay, now what? Click OK. He says, see, I just divided all those amounts by 1,000. I didn't even have to use an extra column. I didn't type any formulas, and I didn't have to freeze anything. Now, this is an unorthodox method, But if this is something that you do a lot and you don't need the original values, this is a quick time saver. Allows you to perform calculations without having to worry about pressing F4 or using an extra column or even using autofill. Just copy and paste. The example we have in class is we ask students to pretend that they're the CEO of their own company and they want to give their employees a $50 bonus. I know it's not much, but let's say it's just an offhand, spontaneous bonus. I'll press Ctrl C. I'm going to select all the values that I want to add $50 to, press Ctrl Alt V, and choose the word add. When I click OK, hey, I just added $50 to all the gross pay, just like that. Now I lost the color, so if I press Ctrl Z to undo, I can press Ctrl Alt V and choose values because I don't want the color, and then choose add. And when I click OK, I keep the color, but still add $50. Transpose, pretty simple exercise here. I want to take all these values and I want them to be vertical. Those of you who don't know too much about Excel, this is your solution. Well, first, let's make this all general. I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut here. It's top secret. Don't tell anyone. Well, I didn't tell you. So 2016, 2017. Some people are already sighing. There's like a collective gasp going on right now, especially if you realize you do this. No, you don't want to do that. What you're going to do instead is you're going to select everything. Control C. I'll use the arrow key because I can, and go to the gray cell. Control Alt V, and the option you're looking for is called Transpose. How do I get there? Take a look at the underlined letter for transpose. Hey, it's the letter E. I wonder if I type the letter E. Wow, that's amazing. Let me just press enter and see what happens. Hey, I didn't have to retype all that work. So saving time again, the goal of this session. Now, is it possible to do it the other way? You mean take something vertical and make it horizontal? Absolutely. I'll press Control C right now. Then I'll use my arrow key, and you can, and go over here. Control Alt V. I'll type E again. E is the magic letter for transpose. When you get to the Paste Special dialog box, I'll press enter. Hey, I just took what was vertical and made it horizontal all over again. This exercise, we'll want to select everything. Control C. I'll go down here. Let's make sure you see the entire table. Control Alt V. This time we're working with multiple columns and multiple rows. I'll type the letter E, press enter, boom, there we go. What used to be the headers are now labels on the side, and what used to be labels on the side are now headers. Everything is in its right place. The total for quarter 2 for product C is 1,500. So I'll highlight that for you so you can see that. And the quarter 2 amount, also for product C, is also 1,500. So everything got put in its right place, just a different orientation. So we have some Excel tricks. This would be good to go over now. You want to save time, so let's take a look at some Excel tricks. I'm going to go over to this cell, and I'm going to change the background color to red. Now, when I want to do this again, all I have to do is press F4. So if I press F4, I will change that text to red. Now, this sometimes gets a little sticky, so let me try it again. I'll go over here, choose yellow this time. I'll go here, I'll press F4. Yeah, sometimes the keyboard shortcuts on my computer lock, and this doesn't work the way that I expect it to. So I'll have to come back to this. It's funny because this happens a couple of times when I do this exercise, and there's great trepidation I have before I do this because I'm like, is it going to work, or is it going to look like I don't know what the heck I'm talking about? This is one of those times where it doesn't look like I know what the heck I'm talking about. Let's go now to Format Painter. Format Painter is actually better. I have what's called here a cool format. Apparently, this purple color, this peach background, and these dashed lines are pretty cool. I want to duplicate that in this cell. I'm not going to remember the exact color for all of these elements or the border. So what I'm going to do is go over to the Home tab and click Format Painter. Oh, thank you for that solidarity. So Anne just said, we know what you're talking about, Garfield. Yeah, so it'll be weird. I'll come back to this and it'll work, and then that's what will happen. So I'm going to select this cell. I'll click on Format Painter. Here's a cool trick. If you click on Format Painter, when you move your cell back into the spreadsheet, hey, it looks a little different. There's a paintbrush. If I click here, I just duplicated that format. Hey, I want to do this more than once. I'll double click. And then I'll click here. Then I'll click here. Then I'll click here. And then I'll click there. The benefit of this over F4 is it duplicates multiple formats. Now, if I want to successfully complete this exercise, now I know it's 7:01, some of you are going to have to go. So thank you for attending this session. Hopefully you found something useful for it. If you need to go, that's completely fine. If you're hanging out and you want to see if there's anything else that you can glean from this course, feel free to hang out. I'll just go over a couple of other tips and tricks. But I'm taking a look at the chat to see if there's anything else that I might go over. Now, that thing where pressing F4 sort of bombed, I'll have to take a look at when that, like what situation or what kind of setting I'm in that causes that, but I can use the Format Painter to duplicate that. So Format Painter. Let's go to inserting comments. If you're taking notes and you want to insert comments into the sheet, just press Shift F2. You might have to press the function key on your laptop, and then here you can type in a note. This is a note. And then when you step out of the cell, there it is. If you want to create a hyperlink, I see someone's mentioning shortcuts. These are generic keyboard shortcuts. We have Control-C, Control-V, Control-X, Control-P to print. To create a new workbook, Control-N. To open an existing workbook, you'll press Control-O. If you press Control-O, it opens up this dialog box. And if you press Control-W, you'll close the workbook. I don't want to do that. You have bold, italic, and underline. So these are just very generic keyboard shortcuts. In terms of other tricks we can go over, let's say you want to create a link to a website like Google. I'll type Google, select the cell, and if I press Control-K, it opens up a dialog box where I can enter a web address. I'm going to type www.google.com. When I press enter, hey, it's a hyperlink. And if I click on it, it'll open up the Google homepage, just like that. Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go over and type cats. Then I'm going to go over to Google Images. And I'll see what you would expect to see on a search of images for cats. I'll flip back to my Excel spreadsheet, and I would like to take a picture of one of those cats. Hey, guess what? You don't need screenshot software. You have it built into Excel. You can go to the Insert tab, head over to Screenshot, and choose Screen Clipping. Now, when I click on this, what's going to happen is it's going to go to the very last page I was just on. I'm going to click Screen Clipping. There we go. And then I wait. See? The page is ghosted over, but now I can use this little plus sign to frame a shot that I would like to take. I'll take a picture of this cute little kitty right here. When I let go, hey, I brought it right into my spreadsheet. So a built-in screenshot program in Excel if you want to snap a picture. So there's so much I could teach you. Definitely take the opportunity to look at our courses. lots of things you can do with Excel. It's really amazing. Stuff that even goes beyond our regular classes. When you learn VBA, you can automate practically anything and save even more time. It's like creating a little robot inside of your Excel spreadsheet that will allow you to do lots of different things. Let's see. Taking a look to see if there's anything else I could go over. We pretty much went over everything except a cell navigation. So if you're curious about that, what is cell navigation? You can go inside of a cell and navigate the text inside of a cell. You probably won't do this too much. I usually hesitate going over this. Let's say I go to this cell and I want to get into it. I'll press F2. F2 puts me inside the cell. Now I want to navigate word by word. So I'll press Control, left arrow, left arrow, left arrow. I'm navigating one word at a time inside the cell. What if I want to select words? Control, Shift, right, Control, Shift, right, Control, Shift, right. So if I want to copy part of a text inside of a cell, I could use that. I know it's advanced, but can you use Format Painter to preserve formatting when you cut and paste info out of Excel? So yes, that's going to be a little bit advanced. I'm just checking to see if there's any questions I can answer that are in the chat, because I pretty much basically went over everything. But if you have any lingering questions, I'm actually looking at the chat, and most of the time I haven't been paying attention to the chat because we have other people in the background who are answering your questions. There's still quite a few of you here. So I'm thinking of what else I could show you that you might find useful. Here, I'll share with you something that you will definitely find useful. I should offer prizes for this next question. So we know that we can create a new workbook by pressing Control N. There we go. I create a new workbook. But most people don't know the keyboard shortcut for inserting a new sheet. Just out of curiosity, does anyone out of the 95 people who are currently in the chat know the keyboard shortcut for inserting a new sheet into a workbook? And I'll just take a look and see if there's any responses. If there aren't any, I'll ultimately tell you this. That means 95 of you don't know the keyboard shortcut for inserting a new sheet. That would be very practical. I don't want to necessarily use my mouse and click on the plus button or right click and choose insert, because then I'm using my mouse. All right, so here's the keyboard shortcut. And I know this is valuable information because so far 95 people in this chat, no one has answered. I should offer money, see if there's any, if that generates any more responses, or like a gift card to Amazon. The keyboard shortcut to insert a new sheet, Shift F11. If I press Shift F11, there we go, insert a new sheet. Oh, Control Alt N. So someone said Control Alt N, let me try that. Control Alt N. Yeah, that didn't seem to do anything on my sheet. Yes, it's okay. A lot of things going on. Someone said we're too lazy. Yeah, it has been a quick session. Other keyboard shortcuts. Here's one that is very useful for anyone who would like to not depend on the mouse. You might think there is not a keyboard shortcut for the right-click menu. That's why you have to use the mouse. There's actually a keyboard shortcut for the right-click menu. It works on the Mac and it works on the PC. And if you know it, you'll remember it. The keyboard shortcut for the right-click menu on the Mac or on the PC is Shift F10. Remember, if you're using a laptop, you might have to press the function key. If I press Shift F10, hey, look at that. That's the right-click menu. I don't even need to use my mouse for a right-click. And what if you want to select any one of the options there? Well, all those options have an underlined letter. So all I have to do is type the underlined letter for the options in the right-click menu. For instance, if I want to create a new note, I just have to press the letter N. And then I'll press Enter. And there it is. I have a new note. All right. So we're going to wrap up. Something else that is useful, if you're wanting to learn about certain functions like VLOOKUP or lower, you don't know what that is. If you click on the FX button, you can select a particular function that's particularly weird and click help on this function. It will take you to a resource that you can use to find out more information about that function. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much it. Make sure to use the quick access toolbar. You can add any command on your ribbon to the quick access toolbar so you can get quick access to it. For instance, if I want to add a filter to this table, I'll go to the Data tab, right-click on Filter, and then add it to the quick access toolbar. I'll click Add. Hey, there's a filter button. Now it doesn't matter which tab I'm on. I could be on the Home tab, and if I click this button, I added a filter to the table. And I can filter the table just like that. Okay. I'll take a look at the chat to see if there's any questions. Thank you very much for the kind words. I'm seeing through the chat. I'll just hang out. And if there are any questions, I don't want you to feel like you're missing out on anything. So don't feel free to leave if you need to. But if you have questions, I'm here.
When is the course given in Manhattan?
Oh, the courses are offered in Manhattan.
This one in particular, after the pandemic situation.
Well, we have online courses. So if you go to the website, you'll find all the information about taking courses. So we have online and in person. And so you'll choose whichever one works for you.
We expect to be back in person, hopefully in May. For the month of April, we're doing everything live online. If you do take it live online, you can retake the class for free in person, but we hope to have in-person classes in Manhattan starting again in May.
So I got a question about disabling hyperlinks. So let me go back to Excel tricks. You can do that by going over to your right-click menu. I already told you the keyboard shortcut for that. If I press Shift F10, hey, look at that. There's remove hyperlink. It looks like I need to press the letter R. So I'll press R. And it removed it. Hey, that worked. Shift F10 and then press R. And thank you for bearing with me. Is there a way to create your own custom keyboard shortcut? So good question. You can in Microsoft Word, and I'm thinking about how you can do that in Excel. You can create a macro. If you create a macro, you can create your own custom keyboard shortcut, and you can even have it override the existing keyboard shortcuts. So that's the way that you could get around that. Create a macro, and when you go in the macro dialog box, you'll choose, you'll type in your keyboard shortcut, and then it'll overtake any existing ones.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone for coming. We hope to see you at the Advanced Excel seminar or maybe one day in person in New York. Reach out to hello@nobledesktop.com with any questions and join us on social media and nobledesktop.com/seminars for more free seminars. Thank you.